Your containers are struggling in full sun, and pouring on more water is not going to fix it. The real problem was never your watering schedule. It was the plants you chose. Most gardeners fill their patio pots with whatever looks beautiful at the nursery in spring. Then July arrives. The same containers that looked full and colorful a few months earlier turn into scorched leaves, drooping stems, and empty pots that cost real money to replace. But these 7 perennials are different. They were made for heat drought and direct summer sun. Some of them actually bloom better when the soil is lean, dry, and unforgiving. If no one has ever explained these plants to you before, that is exactly why you should subscribe. Every video on this channel gives you practical gardening information you can actually use. No fluff, no wasted time, no guessing through advice that does not fit your garden. Hit subscribe now and let the right answers come straight to you. Number 1 is blanket flower, and it deserves to open this list because it looks far more delicate than it really is. The blooms are impossible to ignore. Rings of red, orange, gold, and yellow spread across each flower like a prairie sunset caught inside a container. It brings instant heat, instant color, and the kind of energy that makes a patio look alive, even in the harshest part of summer. But the real reason blanket flower works so well is not just its color. This plant comes from the open prairies of North America, where the soil is thin, the sun is intense, and summer rain cannot be trusted. In other words, drought is not an emergency for blanket flower. It is part of the environment that shaped it. That is why rich soil and constant watering often do more harm than good. If you pamper this plant too much, it produces soft stems, fewer flowers, and weaker growth. Give it lean, gritty, fast-draining soil instead. Water deeply about once a week, then let the container dry out before watering again. Do not keep the roots sitting in damp soil. Deadheading is the one habit that keeps blanket flower performing at its best. Remove the spent blooms regularly, and the plant keeps pushing out flowers from late spring until the first frost. Skip that step, and it will slow down as it starts putting energy into seed. The biggest mistake gardeners make is treating blanket flower like a thirsty annual. They plant it in heavy potting mix, water it every day, and then wonder why the stems collapse by midsummer. With this plant, less attention often gives better results. Pair it with blue salvia, Russian sage, or ornamental grasses. The fiery flowers look even stronger beside cool blue and silver tones. Bees and butterflies visit it constantly, and in zones 3 through 10, blanket flower earns its space by blooming hard when other container plants are already giving up. Number 2 is coneflower, and this is one of those plants that has earned its reputation the hard way. Gardeners have trusted it for generations because it survives conditions that make prettier, weaker plants collapse by midsummer. Coneflower looks simple at first: strong stems, daisy-like petals, and that raised center cone that gives the plant its name. But underneath the soil, it is doing something far more important. Coneflower develops a deep root system that reaches down for moisture instead of depending only on surface water. The more established the plant becomes, the tougher it gets. That is why a mature coneflower in a container can handle dry spells much better than many common patio plants. Water it deeply about once a week, then let the top inch or 2 of soil dry before watering again. It does not want rich, wet, overfed soil. Average soil with good drainage is enough. Too much fertilizer pushes leafy growth and reduces the number of flowers. Through summer, remove faded blooms if you want more flowers. But when fall arrives, stop cutting everything away. Leave some seed heads standing. Goldfinches and other small birds will feed on them during the colder months, and the remaining stems help protect the crown of the plant. One of the biggest mistakes gardeners make with coneflower is cleaning it up too early. They cut it down in fall, remove every seed head, and leave the crown exposed before winter. Wait until early spring to cut it back. That gives the plant a better chance to return strong the next season. Coneflower pairs beautifully with black-eyed Susan Salvia, Coreopsis, and ornamental grasses. Butterflies visit the flowers all summer, and birds return for the seeds later in the year. Native to large parts of the central and eastern United States, it performs reliably in zones 3 through 9. If you want a full sun container that feels natural, colorful, and alive with wildlife, coneflower deserves a permanent spot. Number 3 is Yarrow, and this is the plant that makes a container look intentional instead of random. Its soft fern-like foliage brings a texture that most flowering perennials simply cannot provide. Even before the blooms open, Yarrow adds structure movement and that dry meadow feeling that works perfectly in full sun. The silvery green leaves are more than decoration. That pale color helps reflect sunlight and reduce moisture loss from the surface of the plant. In hot, exposed containers, this matters. Yarrow was built to handle dry ground open air and long stretches of heat without collapsing. Water it deeply about every 10 days, or even less if rain has already soaked the pot. The key is drainage. Use lean, gritty soil that dries quickly. Heavy moisture-holding potting mix is one of the fastest ways to ruin this plant. Yarrow can forgive drought, but it does not forgive soggy roots. After the first big wave of flowers fades, cut the plant back hard. Many gardeners are nervous about doing this, but that cut often triggers a second flush of blooms later in summer. It also keeps the plant compact instead of letting it stretch flop and look tired. The most common mistake is watering yarrow like a thirsty patio annual. If the soil stays damp day after day, root rot can start quietly before the leaves show any warning signs. By the time the top growth looks stressed, the roots may already be damaged. Pair yarrow with Sedum salvia, blanket flower, or Russian sage. Its flat flower clusters attract native bees, beneficial wasps, and other helpful insects that support a healthier garden. Deer usually leave it alone. Pollinators work it constantly, and in zones 3 through 9, yarrow returns stronger with very little effort. Before moving to the next plant, there is one rule that applies to every container on this list. These drought-tolerant perennials do not just need less water. They need the water to leave the pot quickly. Start with the container itself. Make sure it has at least one large drainage hole, not a tiny opening that clogs after a few weeks. If water cannot escape, even the toughest sun-loving plant will eventually fail. Next, use a gritty, fast draining mix. Standard potting soil straight from the bag often holds too much moisture for plants that evolved in dry, lean conditions. Add coarse perlite pumice, small gravel, or cactus mix to improve drainage and airflow around the roots. And remember, this drought tolerant does not mean never water. It means water deeply, then wait. A slow, thorough soak followed by a real drying period is far better than giving the plant small drinks every day. Number 4 is Sedum, and this plant works by a completely different set of rules. While many container plants are begging for water, by the middle of July, Sedum is quietly holding its own supply inside its thick, fleshy leaves. Those leaves are not just decorative. They store moisture almost the way a cactus does, and the waxy surface helps slow evaporation when the sun is intense. That is why Sedum can sit on a hot patio, miss a watering, and still look calm while other plants are wilting around it. For containers, use a cactus mix, succulent mix, or any gritty soil that drains fast. Standard potting soil usually stays too wet for too long, especially in deeper pots. Water Sedum about every 2 weeks during summer, then reduce watering even more as temperatures begin to cool. Wet soil in fall and winter is far more dangerous to Sedum than dry soil in July. The biggest mistake gardeners make is treating Sedum like a regular flowering perennial. They keep watering it on the same schedule as everything else, and by the time the plant looks weak, the roots may already be rotting. Sedum does not want constant attention. It wants sun drainage and time to dry out. Do not cut it back in fall. Leave the stems and seed heads standing through winter. They add structure to the container, provide visual interest after the flowers fade, and help protect the crown in colder climates. Cut it back in early spring when new growth begins to appear. Pair Sedum with Yarrow blanket flower salvia or upright ornamental grasses. Its low, sturdy form balances taller plants beautifully, making the whole container look layered instead of flat. Late in the season, Sedum becomes especially valuable. Its broad flower clusters feed bees and other pollinators in September and October when many summer flowers are already finished. In zones 3 through 9, Sedum is one of the easiest full-sun container perennials you can grow. Low water, long season, almost no drama. Number 5 is Salvia, and if you want a full-sun container that feels alive, this plant earns its place fast. The flowers rise in bold vertical spikes, usually in shades of purple blue, pink red, or violet, and they bring height, color, and movement without needing constant attention. But Salvia is more than just beautiful. It is one of the best plants you can grow if you want hummingbirds, bumblebees, and other pollinators visiting your patio all summer. A single healthy salvia can turn a container into a feeding station from early summer into fall. The scent in the leaves is not accidental either. Salvia produces aromatic oils that help reduce moisture loss and protect the plant in hot, dry conditions. That fragrance you notice when you brush against the foliage is part of the plant's survival system. Water it deeply every 7 to 10 days once it is established. Give it well-draining soil with average to low fertility. Do not overfeed it. Too much rich soil can push leafy growth while reducing flower production. The mistake that slows salvia down is letting old flower spikes stay on the plant too long. Once those spent blooms begin turning into seed, the plant starts acting like its job is done. Cut the faded spikes regularly, and salvia keeps producing fresh color. For an even stronger second bloom, cut the whole plant back by about 1/3 in midsummer. That may feel aggressive, but it encourages new growth and a fresh flush of flowers that carries the container through late summer. Pair salvia with Coreopsis, blanket flower coneflower, or Russian sage. The upright flower spikes create a strong contrast against rounder blooms and softer foliage. In zones 5 through 10, depending on the variety, salvia gives you drought tolerance, bold color, and wildlife value in one plant. Now think about the 5 plants we have covered so far: blanket flower, coneflower, yarrow, sedum, and salvia. Which one would you actually put in a container this summer? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you have already tried one of these plants, tell us what happened. Did it thrive in full sun, or did it give you trouble? Real experience from real gardeners helps everyone watching make better choices before they spend money at the nursery. Number 6 is Coreopsis, also called tickseed, and no plant on this list gives you a longer season of color with less drama. From late spring until the first hard frost, Coreopsis keeps sending up bright yellow gold, or bicolor flowers that make a full sun container look cheerful even during the hottest weeks of summer. Many gardeners underestimate it because it looks simple, but that simplicity is exactly why it works. Coreopsis does not need rich soil, constant feeding, or daily attention. It needs sun drainage and a deep drink of water about once a week. This plant comes from the open prairies and dry meadows of the eastern and central United States. Thin soil, strong sun, and summer heat are not unusual conditions for it. They are part of the environment that shaped it. When you put Coreopsis in a well-draining container under full sun, you are not forcing it to adapt. You are giving it something close to home. The biggest mistake is planting it in overly rich, heavily fertilized soil. That kind of treatment may sound helpful, but it usually produces tall, soft stems and fewer flowers. The plant spends too much energy making leaves instead of blooms. Keep the mix lean and fast draining, and Coreopsis stays tighter, stronger, and far more productive. Deadhead faded flowers when you can, but the real trick is the midsummer cutback. When the plant starts looking tired, shear it back by about half. It may look rough for a short time, but that cut pushes fresh growth and a strong second wave of flowers that can carry the container deep into fall. Pair Coreopsis with salvia, Russian sage blanket flower, or coneflower. Yellow flowers look especially powerful beside blue, purple, and silver plants. Bees, skippers, and small butterflies visit it steadily through the season. In zones 4 through 9, Coreopsis is one of the best front-edge plants for a full-sun container. It fills space, softens the edges, keeps the color going, and asks for very little in return. Number 7 is Russian sage, and this is the plant that gives a full-sun container height movement and that soft silver-blue haze you cannot get from ordinary patio flowers. When it blooms in midsummer, the whole container suddenly looks more expensive, more planned, and more professional. The stems are airy, the flowers are lavender blue, and the foliage carries that cool gray-green color that makes hot-colored plants look even stronger beside it. But the silver tone is not just for looks. That pale coating helps reflect sunlight and slow moisture loss from the plant's surface. In other words, Russian sage is built to manage heat before you ever reach for the watering can. Water it deeply every 7 to 10 days, then let the soil dry before watering again. This plant does not want rich, wet, heavy soil. It performs best in lean, gritty, fast-draining mix. If the soil is too fertile, Russian sage often grows loose, floppy, and weak instead of upright and architectural. The biggest mistake gardeners make is cutting it back in fall. That can damage the plant's chances of returning strong, especially in colder regions. Leave the woody stems standing through winter. They protect the crown and give the container structure when most other plants have disappeared. In early spring, cut it back hard to about 6 to 8 inches above the soil line. That is when the new season should begin. Pair Russian sage with Coreopsis, blanket flower, Salvia, or Yarrow. Yellow and orange flowers look electric next to its cool blue tones. It also works beautifully as the back layer of a container rising above lower plants and tying the whole arrangement together. Bees and hummingbirds visit the tubular flowers through late summer when many other perennials are slowing down. That makes Russian sage valuable not just for beauty, but for supporting pollinators during a difficult part of the season. In zones 5 through 9, a mature Russian sage in a large container can become the anchor of the entire patio. Plant it once, give it sun and drainage, and it comes back stronger year after year. If you had to build one full sun container using only plants from this list, here is the combination I would trust. Place Russian sage at the back. It gives you height movement and that silver blue cloud that makes the whole container look designed instead of thrown together. It becomes the anchor of the plant that gives the arrangement structure. In the middle, use Salvia. Its upright flower spikes add bold color, and it keeps hummingbirds, bees, and other pollinators coming back through the warm months. Salvia also bridges the height between the tall Russian sage and the lower plants in front. Then use Coreopsis or blanket flower along the front edge. Coreopsis gives you months of bright yellow flowers, while blanket flower brings hotter red, orange, and gold tones. Either one keeps the front of the container full, colorful, and active. The maintenance plan is simple, full sun, fast-draining soil, and 1 deep watering per week once the plants are established. That is it. No daily watering, no constant rescuing. Just the right plants in the right container doing what they were built to do. Take care of those containers. Water less often, and stop forcing the wrong plants to survive in the wrong place. Most gardeners lose money every summer because they keep buying flowers that were never built for blazing sun-dry soil and hot patio containers. Then the plants fail, the pots go empty, and the same cycle starts again next spring. But blanket flower, coneflower, Yarrow, Sedum, Salvia, Coreopsis, and Russian sage are different. They do not need perfect conditions. They need the conditions they were designed for: full, sun-sharp drainage and enough space for their roots to breathe. So, be honest. How much money have you spent replacing plants that were never meant for your garden, while these 7 were waiting at the nursery the whole time?